We're going to continue on in Genesis 19 tonight. I've got my friend here with me, but he doesn't move that much. And no, folks, he is not stuffed. It's just my friend that Sid picked up. Folks, here we are in Sodom and Gomorrah. God has already dispatched his two angels down there to see and to bring judgment upon that town. Lot intercepted the two angels as he was at the gate, brought him to his house, protected him there. All the men, it said, all the men of Sodom descended upon Lot's house in order to have sex with these men. And Lot stepped out and interceded, tried to convince them otherwise, but they would have no part of it. The two angels, or the angel, reached out, pulled Lot in, and then smote them with blindness. Now we're going to pick up for tonight. So, the two men with Lot in the house now, or the two angels, they told Lot, said, Lot, do you have anybody else in this city? Do you have anyone else, sons, daughters, anybody else that you want to rescue? Because we're going to destroy this city. It was interesting that the angels didn't mention anything about wealth, substance, valuable things, because, folks, the most valuable thing is people. People around us, our neighbors, are the most valuable ones. And so Lot went to his sons-in-law. Now, folks, how did Lot get there going through this city? Well, folks, the men were blind. All the men were blind. He could just literally walk around them till he found where his sons-in-law were. Now, I want you to understand, the sons-in-laws were separated from his two daughters. They were betrothed, but they hadn't consummated the marriage. So these daughters were still virgins, but they were pledged to these two men. And Lot went and found them and said, you've got to come with us. You've got to come with us because the angel is going to destroy this city tomorrow. And what did they do? They mocked him. They just laughed at him and said, look, everything is fine. Everybody's happy. Everything's going good. We don't see any indication for this. And they laughed at him. You know, mockery is probably the last response before judgment comes. Because when Jesus was on the cross, what did they do? They mocked him. They laughed at him. They joked and made jest of him. Because mockery wants to make fun of the truth. And God, I think, hates mockery. So here it is. In the middle of the night, they had come at evening time. They were in Lot's house. And it's still dark outside when the angels say to Lot and his daughters, and when the morning arose, that means it was still dark. It was getting close to dawn. Then the angels hastened to Lot and saying, arise and take thy wife and thy two daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold on his hand and upon the hand of his wife and upon the hand of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth outside of the city and said, flee to the mountains. Flee to the mountains. Don't stay on the plain because everything is going to be destroyed. So Lot hesitated to leave the city. And then when he got to the city gate, he said, no, I don't want to go to the mountains. Send me, I don't think I'll make it there. Send me to that little city just over the rise there. That little town. Now that little town could be two different things. That it was small, or it could be that its cup of iniquity wasn't quite as full as that of Sodom and Gomorrah. That little town in Genesis chapter 14 was referred to as Bela. And that was one of the 5 towns that the raiders came in and took everything from, that Abraham eventually got back. But that town was also later named Zoar. Zoar, which means small. And maybe they haven't committed the iniquities that Sodom and Gomorrah had. And he hesitated. But you know, God, even in the hesitation of Lot, he found mercy, the mercy of God. He found it twice when God was going to destroy everything in all the 5 cities. But he found mercy and actually spared the inhabitants of Zoar. The angels told him to flee to the mountains. Now, spiritually speaking, the mountains are the high places. It's a spiritual level above where you are. And folks, in times of problems, I think we need to rise above to a higher level spiritually, so to say. And in Matthew, I believe, chapter 24, it talks about when the destruction of the earth, when is all time going to end? When is going to be the last day? And they say that those that are in Judah need to flee to the mountains. If you're on a housetop, don't even bother to come down. Folks, this is a prime example still of the mercy of God. Mercy of God trying to reach out to people even when destruction is imminent. Even when it's almost the end of the road, God's mercy is still trying to reach to people who will turn from their wicked ways.